Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel for what's going to be a tutorial showing 4 looks in one using the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette. I did a review of this pretty recently that I'll link to down below, where I talk about not only this palette but also some comparable palettes out there, so you can probably recreate these look if you have the other 2 palettes that I mentioned in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. The first look I'm doing is the more natural of those that I flashed up during the quick intro here. I'm going in with the shade Faith and using the fluffier side of the double-edged brush or double-sided brush that comes with this palette, and I'm running that through my crease using pretty wide windshield wiper motions. Next, I'm going into Nudie using the same side of that brush, and I'm swiping that just above where I put that first crease shade. This is going to help that shade blend in with the lighter shade I chose here, Pre-Game, that's going directly on my brow bone, right beneath my brow. For the inner corner, I'm going in with the shade Blow, and I'm using the smaller, more narrow side of that double-ended brush to place that on my inner corner, both on the upper and lower lid, and then I go in with the wider side of that brush to help work it across the rest of my lid. Next, going a little bit darker, I'm going into the shade Lockout, still sticking with that narrow side of the brush and working that, I guess where you could say you would technically cut a crease on my eyes, also working that into my outer corner just to create a little bit more precise definition out there, adding a little bit more drama but still keeping it very daytime wearable, before going in with the liner shade here. That is Blackjack, once again, narrow side of that brush, and I'm just running that very faintly along my upper lash line. I'm keeping it really subtle. I just want some subtle definition and kind of fake the appearance of a fuller lash line, so if I find I laid a little bit too much down, I just go in with that fluffier end and smudge and blend it all out. Then I'm going to move straight onto the lips. This is the only other thing that changes from look to look. The rest of what is going on my face, blush, bronzer, you name it, I'll list in the description bar below, but it's the same from look to look, so I figured I'd just talk about the lips. This is a lip composite from Who Is She Cosmetics in the shade Anaya. And that's everything you need to complete the first look in this set of 4. I want to do one slightly natural and then inject a little bit of color into another one because this palette does have a hint of color to it. This is a plummier look, so let's go ahead and start on that. I'm first starting with the shade Instinct there, ultimately got it, but on that fluffier end, this is going to be my starter crease shade. It has a little bit more plum pigment to it than the shade right next to it, Tempted, which is more of a light plummy taupe. I really wanted that plum to come through strong on this look, so that's why I chose Instinct to start it all off. Then, just like the last look, I'm reaching for a shade that will help my crease blend in with my brow. This is Commando, and I'm running that, like I said, just above that crease shade to help blend it into what's ultimately going to be my brow shade, which is Blow. And this, fun fact, is a lightly shimmery shade. This palette is technically supposed to be all matte, but they did include one slightly shimmery shadow, just like they did with the Naked Basics 1 and 2 palettes. I also apply that same shade, Blow, to my inner corner using the more narrow, more precise end of that brush, and just make sure everything is blended throughout using that fluffy side before moving into Nude. Once again, using the same fluffy side of that brush, but this is going to be my all over lid shade. Not being too precise with this, just making sure it gets packed all over the lid. This is really just to make sure I have an even base before I go in with the real drama here, which is Lethal, this beautiful deep plum, and that's going to be my drama in the outer corner. I'm using the precise end of this brush and then blending and buffing all of that out with the fluffier side. I'm also applying that to the outer portion of my lower lash line to get some definition there as well. Then fast forward through the mascara, the brows, yada yada, onto the lips to complete this look. This is another lip composite from Who Is She Cosmetics, but the shade London. In case you didn't see it, I have a whole review of these products. I'll link that in the description bar below, but I'm giving a ton of them away. So if you're interested in learning more and or winning those that I talk about, go ahead and check that out down below. But I chose this shade for this look because even though it looks like the grayish that's so popular now, the plum really comes through when it's on the lip, so it complemented the eye look here, and the gold shift just brightened the whole look up. So that is look 2. On to super dramatic look 3. I had a daytime look, I played with some colors, so I really wanted to see how dark and smoky we could get with this palette, and then the 4th look is kind of a bonus. It just takes that darker look and then adds a little something extra, something new from Urban Decay. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm first going into Tempted on a fluffy shader. This is not the brush that comes with the palette. That I've used it way too many times at this point. It needed a good cleaning, so I had to grab a clean. Any fluffy shader will do, whatever you like to use to run color through your crease. Then same brush, I just went into Nudie and used that as my crease blending shade. And again, same brush, just going into Blow and using that as my brow shade. You could really see the pigmentation here though when I'm using something a little bit more dense. Really had to be sure to buff that one out. On to the shading on my eyelid. I'm first starting with Magnet, which is a mid-tone gray, like steely gray, and I'm just patting that, first starting in my outer corner and then working it in towards the inner corner. I avoided my inner corner when applying that, but really you can afford to be a little bit messy here because I just went in with that same flat shader into the shade Pregame and applied that to my inner corner just to make sure everything was blended and brightened up. Last up for the shadows in this look anyway is the shade Blackjack, and I went into my outer corner and lower lash line and just used that to add a little bit more depth so it wasn't a totally flat smoky look. And that was last for the shadows, so you know the drill. It is time for the lips. This is another lip composite in the shade Angelic. It's more of a frosty copper, I would say, so I'm just applying that all over the lips. Then, like I said earlier, the last look is kind of a bonus or a cheat, depending on how you look at it, but basically it takes this look as a base, and I went in and applied one of the new Urban Decay Liquid Moondust eyeshadows over top to give it a really high shine metallic finish. This shade in particular is Space Time, and the way I like to apply that, it has a very fine brush end, and so I just go and apply it directly to my eyelid, and then I took the fluffy side of the brush that comes on this palette and just made sure that crease was blended out. And that's it. That is everything you need shadow-wise anyway to create these 3-4-ish looks. Don't forget to check the description bar below for the rest of the products I used on my face, but thank you guys so much for watching. Really hope you guys thought this video was helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!